Now, staying with the tech sector, Google is back in a US court on antitrust charges, this time over its advertising business. The case focuses on Google's ad technology, the software that determines which ads load on a website. The Justice Department accuses Google of buying up rivals and bullying clients into using its system. It says the results are less choice and higher costs. The Justice Department is calling for Google to spin off its ad exchange. The company says online ad prices are falling and so is its share of the market. Domenic Romano is the founder and managing partner at Romano Law, and he joins us now. Domenic, thanks very much for coming on the show. Look, this is a pretty blockbuster antitrust case against a pretty big tech company. So from what we've heard so far, just talk us through the antitrust case and speak to the arguments here from both sides.
Well, last month, we had a big decision when it came to search. In that instance, the federal judge found that Google was engaging in monopolistic behavior. And of course, the penalty is yet to be meted out. So I think in ad tech, we have a similar situation where the government is arguing that Google is abusing its market dominance. It's bought up all these competitors, these ad tech companies, and now basically controls the production and distribution of the technology, creating such a high barrier to entry that competition is stifled and prices go up for everyone.
Let's speak to some of the evidence. One of the things, as I was reading up on this, a Google executive basically, asked in an internal mail if the monopoly over the online ad market presented a legal problem. He said, and I'm quoting him here, the analogy would be if Goldman or Citibank owned the NYSE, referring, of course, to New York Stock Exchange. I mean, is that, would you say, Domenic, is that powerful evidence, in your view, of intent here?
I mean, look, we saw last month in search where Google controls 90% of search, 95% of mobile search is done through the Google engine, where, the court determined in that case that there was more than enough evidence that Google was engaging in monopolistic behavior. Here, too, I think that, with the stock exchange analogy, I think the case can be made strongly, as the government's made it, that this dominance stifles, it prevents innovation, it builds a moat so big, the barriers to entry are prohibitive for most companies. I mean, in the first case last month, evidence came out that Google has been paying Apple $18 billion a year and Samsung approximately $2 billion a year, according to reports, to keep them out of search, to keep Google as the search engine. In the package you showed a few minutes ago, where the person photographed the bicycle, it went on to say, and it will, you photograph the bicycle and Apple's new operating system or new iPhone will then go to a Google search results. So that kind of dominance, we're seeing it also in the ad tech. That's the argument the government is making, that this prevents innovation.
Right. So then what then is the argument, Domenic, for Google? How does Google counter that criticism? What is it?
Well,
what's it been
Google
saying?
has tried to say that for example, with regard to search, by analogy, in Gen Z is searching, 18 to 24-year-olds are searching on TikTok. But even then, it's not the dominant search. They're going and they're replicating those searches in other platforms controlled by Google. And I think in ad tech, if you ask the brands that are engaging in that advertising space, how much, if you look at how much is being paid to Google and how much Google is making from ad tech and how much it contributes to its bottom line and how difficult it is for anyone to compete in that market, I think, Google can perhaps rely on AI and the changing landscape to say, look, we may be dominant today, but there's no guarantee that we'll be dominant tomorrow. But that becomes a very difficult argument to sustain when you're keeping everyone else at bay.
Yeah. And Domenic, look, let's broaden this out because, of course, the US is only just now joining the EU, which has been cracking down quite ruthlessly on that front for some time. Why do you think we're seeing this now in the United States, and the US catching up with Europe here?
Yeah, it's interesting. The first case started during the Trump administration. It was continued now in the Biden administration. I think that what we're starting to see here is an end of self-regulation for the tech giants, the end of self-policing. And the EU really has been one of those parts of the world that's been on the forefront with the Digital Markets Act. basically now what you're seeing is not a uniform response throughout the world, but countries and these tech giants are having to adapt their strategies in different countries. And I think you're going to see maybe not a leveling of the playing field, but a reduction in barriers to entry. Ultimately, it's all going to depend on what the penalty is, especially in the search case. We don't know what the penalty is. Will it be
on this, what do you think it will be? Are we looking at a slap on the wrist here, or are you looking at a breakup of Google? I mean, how do you see this? Because this, if the DOJ then wins, Dominic, you could be looking at potential lawsuits on that front too, right?
Great point. Great point. Look, they're willing to pay $20 billion to two different companies. Who knows if they're paying to other entities? That's come out in the discovery to remain dominant on Android and Apple platforms. It will, if $20 billion a year is the cost of doing, how big does this fine have to be to make an impact? Will it be a tip of the monopoly top hat, pass go, pay $20 billion and keep going, or will the government force Google and these other tech giants to break up and allow competition and reduce their dominance? We shall see.
Yeah, we shall see. Dominic, really insightful. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us. Domenic Romano there in New York.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.